All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack this really short but, wow, incredibly powerful Gujarati poem. It kicks off with something super simple, something you might see every day, but it uses that one little observation to ask this huge question. A question about faith, about tradition, and maybe most importantly, about what we lose when we chase after convenience.
And right there, that opening line, it gives the whole game away. The poet paints this gorgeous picture for us, right? You can almost see it. Peacocks in a temple courtyard as the sun sets. It's beautiful, it's mythic. And then, bam, but on a tape. Just those few words completely shatter the whole image. It's this epic, grand idea crashing headfirst into the cold, sterile reality of a machine.
So to really get the gut punch of this poem, we've got to first walk through the world the poet creates. And it's a world built completely out of sound. Think of it like this amazing, intricate building that the poet constructs piece by piece, just so they can knock it all down in the end. And check out how these sounds are layered. It's so clever. The poem doesn't just throw a list of instruments at you. No, it starts with something real, something from nature, that call of the peacock. Then, whoa, it just explodes to this cosmic level, a roar so loud it supposedly echoes through the entire universe. And then it brings us back down to the human level, weaving in the sounds of worship you'd actually hear, the singing, the cymbals, and even that con-con sound. That's literally the sound the cymbals make, so you hear it in your head as you read it. It's brilliant.
Okay, and this is where things get really cool. The poem makes this incredible leap. It stops being about just hearing things. The sound itself becomes this physical thing, a force that you don't just hear with your ears, you actually feel it in your chest, in your bones. It's like the sound has become touch.
So here's the absolute heart of the conflict, right? It's all about movement versus stillness. On one hand, the poem says the entire temple is swaying. It's alive with this rhythm. The energy is so intense, it's practically making the walls dance. But then you look at the center of it all, the very reason for all this music and energy. And what do you see? Something completely motionless, standing like stone. The contrast is just stark. And it gets even more intense, more physical. You have the deep vibrations of the cymbals, the kind you can feel in your ribs. But that last part, the heavy strikes of the drum, this is just incredible. The Gujarati word here is ga, which doesn't just mean a strike. It literally means a wound, a physical blow. So the drum beats aren't just noise. They're described as actually hitting you, almost hurting you. That's how powerful this sound is supposed to be. So all of this overwhelming, physical, almost violent sound, it's not just for show. It's all been building to this one moment, the poem's central twist. And trust me, it's a shocker. Everything we thought we understood about this scene is about to get flipped completely upside down. So let's just stop and think about that for a second. You've got this storm of sound, right? But it's all fake. It's on a tape. And in the middle of it all, you have this figure that can't move. So who's the real prisoner here? And here's the answer. And it's just brilliant. The poem says, the prisoner is the god. The poet is looking right at the idol and saying, they've trapped you. We've encased you in stone. Think about that. We've taken something that's supposed to be limitless and divine, locked it into this stiff stone form, and now we're making it listen to our fake recorded worship.
Oof. Usually in poems like this, God is the big, powerful one who sets people free, and the worshiper is the one asking for help. But this poem just turns that whole idea on its head. The poet isn't looking at the idol in awe, asking for something. They're looking at it with pity, with empathy. The one who's supposed to be the liberator has become the one who's trapped, a prisoner of our own rituals. And that huge emotional moment, that big reveal, it's more than just a clever poetic trick. It's really the doorway into what the poem is truly about. And it's important to get this right. It's not a critique of faith. Not at all. It's a critique of how we practice our faith. You can actually see the whole poem laid out like a 3-act play. Act 1, the big setup. The poet builds this massive, beautiful illusion of sound, and then just pops it like a balloon with, but on a tape. Act 2, the zoom in. We go from hearing the sound to actually feeling it in our bodies. And finally, Act 3, the quiet climax. It all comes down to this tragic, super personal, one-on-one conversation with a trapped God. So what the poem is really getting at is this idea we could call mechanized faith.
See, a real ritual, a real act of devotion, it's supposed to cost you something, right? It takes human energy, effort, a bit of sacrifice. You sing until your throat is raw. You play an instrument until your hands hurt. But when you just press play on a tape deck, you get all the noise, all the spectacle, but you lose the heart. You lose the soul. What you're left with is, well, it's a recording of devotion, not the real thing. Okay, so this all brings us to the very end of the poem. And the ending isn't some big, loud prayer or a dramatic demand. It's something else entirely. It's quiet, it's personal, and it's incredibly beautiful. It's just a moment of real connection. And just listen to the tone of these final words. This is not a formal prayer. It's so casual and sweet. It's almost like the poet leans in and whispers to the idol, "Man, if you weren't trapped in this rock, I know you'd be dancing your heart out right now." You see? It's not a prayer. It's like a knowing sigh between friends who get each other's frustration. And some would say this is actually the deepest, most profound kind of faith or bhakti, because the person praying isn't asking for anything. They're not saying, "Give me this" or "Save me from that." Instead, they're feeling compassion for the divine. They're actually understanding God's frustration. It's a relationship of equals, a shared feeling, not a one-way street of requests.
So, in the end, yes, this poem is set in a temple. But its core question is for every single one of us, isn't it? It makes you stop and ask yourself, in my own life, in the things that matter to me, my traditions, my relationships, my passions, where have I replaced the real, messy, human effort with a convenient recording? And what's been lost because of it? That's the question the poem leaves us with.